Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday the 29th of January. So today, this afternoon, evening even, we have the Fed meeting, which I think the markets are sort of stalling towards at this stage and could well we'll see. I don't want to second guess what the markets might do today, but with the Fed meeting occurring during the day and at 7 p.m. UK time, we get the statement, the federal funds rate, and then it's more importantly, I would imagine at 7:30 we get the press conference. So they took a slightly more dovish route between them, but last time. But we'll see what's coming out of there. They was looking for when they last met. They were looking for wage inflation, which hasn't really happened quite to the extent. So it'll be interesting to see what they're looking for next time, and also what sort of comments come out of it, whether they do look a little bit more dovish for this coming year. Okay. For now though, this morning, well, we've already had it. The Aussie data came out, Australian data came out 12:30. The inflation figure came out, only came out 0.1 above expectation, but at 0.7 it's still very, very low. So not anything to drive the Aussie too much. So let's start off looking at the currencies as they sit. Then the pound, the euro even came down yesterday and touched that 1.1, that key number, and reacted off it yesterday. Now that, as I say, it's a key, it's a psychological number. It's a round number. It's whatever you like to call it. It's a prior lows there, but we're heading back down towards it at this stage, and well, it'll be interesting to see what happens from here. But for now, in the short term, it's well, you could say we just go short. But it's already moved down a reasonable amount, well, in this last hour actually. But this market is still lacking any significant volatility. In fact, if you come back to the average true range down the dailies, and it's back down to 42 pips, and looking like it could reduce further. But that's the way it is at the moment. And it's firmly in the downward trend sitting there, and certainly it looks like this is if you're looking at the big wave pattern, if this was the first major wave, second, still in this sort of third wave system, which could go low. I mean, I was wondering whether if we did see a bounce yesterday off that key number, whether it walk back to, well, run back towards walk back to that weekly pivot, but not to be at the moment, not to be happening. So looks soft, but I don't want to be just selling into a low here. Potentially it may just if it puts a higher low in here and breaks back through that 50, I could be a buyer at some stage, but we'll see what happens there. So not a simple one this morning. The pound, it's sold off a little bit this morning as well. Yesterday, it's almost got back to a triple bottom. It's slightly higher low there at the moment, and it's sort of rising. News tomorrow on the pound, or the central bank meets tomorrow. So it's still erring towards the sort of weaker side in some respects. It, as I say, came back last night, found a bit of support there, and well, arguably on the short time it was doing a bit of a bullish flag, but well, I think with this lower high that's just been confirmed, it does look soft, and maybe there's further downside towards the S1, yesterday's lows. So just we'll need to watch that. Maybe that be the potential this morning. Just need to watch the post 8 o'clock a little bit more. Looking at dollar yen, there's back risk on a little bit yesterday, and we saw a bit of a sigh of relief, and there seems to be a bit of relief through some of these markets. The Hong Kong market opened again last night. It did drop down, but not to the extent people were expecting. Some of the bigger decliners included the gambling companies where the casinos have been closed, so it's eased back from that perspective, but otherwise not looking quite as bad as some thought it might be. Looking at the yen here, it's finally filled that gap through the Asian session here, just filled the gap there. Still got the weekly pivot above it. Maybe if the risk stays on, we could see it pushing up towards that gradually, but slow old process. And watching it yesterday, it's just really for long periods just chopping along, really not doing too much. So yep, if it breaks the trend here, maybe it'll push up towards the R1 and eventually, as I say, that weekly pivot. But there's too much risk in these markets as it sits for me at the moment. I think it's too easy for that just to slip back again. Aussie dollar had a little pop this early hours this morning with the inflation data I referred to earlier, but it's still looking soft here, and it's just another sort of little flaggy pattern. Looks like it may be heading further south here. I was talking to one of our Australian clients just after that news came out early hours of the morning, and we were just looking at how I said a break of this trend line might suggest further downside here. One thing which is sort of just about done, but there was a bit of divergence with the lows back here, and I thought might see a bigger correction, but doesn't look like it's got the legs to do so in this week again. Okay, and that's that. And finally Aussie dollar, and finally the Canadian dollar. If I can get the picture in here. Canadian dollar still looking like it's this is dollar strength coming through. We've seen it in a lot of the currencies here, and the Canadian dollar pushing up there at the moment. It's run into its weekly R1 area there, finding resistance, and just looking through here back into its daily pivot at the moment. But if it can break that area, maybe a push up actually on this short term, although it's put a higher low in it. So I was just thinking bear flag, but no, it's put a higher low in there. Maybe we'll see how it reacts to this, but if it reacts to this, it could just pivot, daily pivot here. It could just sell back towards the lows or even the R1 there, but I'm a bit suspicious that it may just continue the original route. So that's it. Just to recap, news today. The only real data, we've got a little bit of data. Crude oil inventories at 3:30 this afternoon, but really we're looking forward towards that Fed meeting. Have a great day. Bye for now.